Hi everybody, Kate from Greyhound Trust Hall Green here. I've got my lovely friend Dexter with me today, and I'm going to be doing some one-to-one work with Dexter on his behaviour around other breeds of dog. So it's not hugely uncommon for ex-racing greyhounds to have some anxiety related issues when it comes to other breeds, because they're just not really used to being around them, having lived in a kennel all of their life. And that's certainly the case with Dexter here. And we noticed when we took him to the park and introduced him to other breeds that he would bark at them and was clearly quite anxious to be around them. So what we need to do with Dexter is introduce other breeds of dog to him very gradually and very positively, and we need to be able to show him that other breeds of dog aren't anything to be afraid of. So that's what I'm going to be helping him to do today. When we call dogs reactive, it means that they respond negatively towards a certain trigger. So for many dogs, the trigger for their reactivity will be other dogs, but for some it could be noises, or it could even be people. When dogs react towards a trigger, it's quite a stressful reaction. And I want you to imagine for a second that a dog has a sort of emotional bucket. So there's a bucket and they can handle so many emotions going into the bucket before this bucket overflows. And when the dog reacts to the trigger, that's the bucket overflowing. Now, a little bit of science for you, hopefully not too much. Dogs have two parts to their nervous system. And one part of that nervous system controls conscious decisions that are made in the brain, and the other part, the peripheral nervous system, controls your subconscious acts. So by subconscious acts I mean things like breathing, digestion, and in the case of our dogs, flight or flight response. You've probably heard of fight or flight response, and it's something that we need to be very mindful of when we're dealing with dogs with anxiety. So what that means for your canine companion is that too much stress in the body and the trigger of fight or flight response triggers subconscious acts in the dog's brain. And at that point, so when the dog's emotional bucket is overflowed and the dog is no longer making conscious decisions, they are acting the way that their body tells them to act from the chemicals that are happening within their brain. And that means that by the time your dog is actually reacting to the trigger, they are no longer able to make rational decisions. So they're acting in the way that the chemicals in their body are telling them to act, but it's not a decision that's made by them in the brain. So that's why when it comes to training with dogs who have high stress levels or anxiety, we need to make sure that we're only working with the dog while they are under that threshold and where they're able to clearly make decisions for themselves. So that's why when working with Dexter today, we've got a stooge dog in the field. I don't know if you can see him way over there. That's Jake the fake. And you can see that we're at a distance now where Dexter isn't reacting to Jake's presence. This is a safe distance to begin working with Dexter from. Looking for from Dexter is for him to make the decision that I want him to make. And that's the decision to ignore the stooge dog and focus his attention instead on me. And when he does that, I'm going to give him a reward. Sometimes if the dog needs some encouragement to make that decision and they don't understand what it is we're asking them to do or expecting of them, we might introduce a clicker at this stage, and we can use the clicker to prompt the dog's attention back onto us. And that lets them know that that's the behaviour that we're looking for. In Dexter's case, he's actually doing this really quite well. We're fairly close to the stooge dog now. And he's more focused on me than he is on the dog. So here we go, so he's looking at the dog now. Good boy, Dex. Good boy. I'm giving him a couple of treats there because that was a really excellent reaction. So you can see now we're really quite close to the stooge dog. Good boy, Dex. Good boy. And Dexter made an excellent decision there. You could see him backing away slightly, and then he chose to turn around and come back for his reward. And we're doing it this way rather than distracting Dexter. So one other approach would be that as we go near the stooge dog, I could distract him and call him away with treats and reward. The problem with distraction is it doesn't necessarily show Dexter what we want him to do instead. And what I'm trying to encourage Dexter to do is make his own decisions. And when Dexter starts making his own decisions, he'll be a much more confident, happy dog. So of course at this stage we're just using a stooge dog, which is a fake stuffed dog, Jake the Fake if you will. And the objective now is to get Dexter used to walking around the paddock with Jake the Fake present. We can then build up to somebody actually moving Jake the Fake a little bit and simulating a more real life scenario, and gradually we'll build up to actually taking Dexter back to the park where he can be around real dogs who are going to be a little bit unpredictable. But at this stage of his training, where it's really important that we set every session up for Dexter to succeed, we've got to have that control of having the stooge dog. And hopefully this will lay those all-important foundations so that when Dexter is adopted and he does have to go out into the real world on a regular basis, his new owners will already have a starting point on which to base their training. We always want to make sure we end every training session on a positive note, so I'm going to make sure I end it with something fun. Now, fun is relative to the individual dog, so it might be a game with one of their favourite toys, or in Dexter's case you've probably heard of a snuffle mat. Well, I'm just going to make a natural snuffle mat out of the ground. I'm going to scatter some treats onto the floor, and let Dexter have a little snuffle. And if you have a dog who, like Dexter, needs a little bit of extra training and support, particularly around reactivity, I'd strongly recommend working alongside a reputable, force-free behaviourist. Anxiety and stress-related issues can be really complex, so I would definitely recommend working with a professional who can help you and guide you in the right way to support your dog, build your relationship, and most importantly, help to overcome those issues so you can both enjoy walks. But if you do need any help, guidance or advice on basic training issues, then we the volunteers at Hall Green Greyhound Trust are always here to help and support you in any way that we possibly can. As always, for more greyhound related tips, training and general advice, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Hall Green TV, and from Dexter and I, we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.